Welcome in, here with Mike Renner. I'm Steve Palazzolo, and Mike, you just wrote up the most important offseason needs for every team. We'll have full team needs breakdowns as we get a little bit closer to free agency in the draft, but we went team by team. Let's just start in the NFC right now. The most important needs, the full article's over at ProFootballFocus.com. Let's get into it, Mike.
Take it off.
NFC East, let's start with the Cowboys. You said tight end. What made you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, tight end is not always a team. Not every team's going to need a tight end, but I think that the Cowboys, how frequently they use the tight ends. Dak targeted tight end position 88 times last year, and they really just had no production from it still. So Dak loves to throw in tight ends. They love to use their tight ends in the run game. So adding a quality one would have the biggest impact on that team, I think.
And then going to the Eagles, left tackle, Jason Peters, getting old.
Turning 37. Big V is back up, one of the lowest graded tackles this season, a limited amount of snaps. I don't think he's the answer. You want to keep that offensive line intact, especially since rumors are Jason Kelce may be retiring. Not sure if that's actually going to happen, but I don't think you can count on Jason Peters to be at that same level anymore.
What about the Washington Redskins at edge defender? This looked like a place that had been a strength for them for a couple years. Ryan Kerrigan had been so good. Preston Smith moves around a little bit. They drafted Ryan Anderson. They've tried to make this a strength.
Yeah, Preston Smith, though, going to be a free agent this offseason. Ryan Kerrigan, now on the wrong side of 30. We've seen him slow down a little bit in our grading system because he's played so many snaps. He's played over 800 snaps for, 5 or 6 straight years now. He keeps staying healthy, but I think those have taken a little bit of a toll on him. I don't think you can rely on him to be as productive as he once was. You have that interior intact. Now get the edge. I think that's the biggest need.
And then right tackles matter, Mike. The New York Giants, of course, they invested heavily in Nate Solder. They had to move Eric Flowers to right tackle early in the year. Revolving door at right tackle that just didn't work out for them.
Yeah, it was awful. They ended up cutting Eric Flowers. Chad Wheeler, the backup, one of the lowest graded tackles in the NFL this season. Big red circle around that one. They just got to keep Eli Manning healthy if he really is going to be the QB next year.
You really need 2 good tackles.
Yes.
The left tackle does not need to just be the only guy that you invest in. Let's go to the NFC West. The top 2 are similar. The Los Angeles Rams edge defender, the Seattle Seahawks edge defender. Starting with the Rams, though, loaded on the interior this year, and Ndamukong Suh's a free agent, but they have one of the weakest groups of edge defenders in the NFL.
I was going to say, their entire group of edge defenders this season had fewer pressures than Aaron Donald did. Now, that's not a super fair comparison,
that's not fair, yeah.
But that's like 5 guys versus 1. They just need a ton of help there. Dante Fowler, going to be a free agent at year's end. And the same with the Seahawks. Frank Clark, their only production on the edge, he's going to be a free agent at year's end. We're doing this with the assumption that all these guys not necessarily going to be able to re-sign them, so both those teams need edge defenders.
But, Frank Clark could be the guy that helps
exactly.
solidify that spot. I thought you would have gone edge defender for the 49ers as well because they've invested so much in the interior. They need a good pass rush, but you went safety. They do have some questions.
I was going to say, they had 6 guys play safety this year, at least 300 snaps. Not a single one had a coverage grade of 70 or above. Just awful. One of the most busted coverages I saw of any safety group. That would just be where the biggest, I think, impact could come on that defense.
And then the Arizona Cardinals, they have a bunch of needs, but you went offensive line. That's probably the right place to start.
Lowest graded offensive line in our grading system, and it was not even close. That was even before injuries. They were terrible up front. Now they have a lot invested in, signed Justin Pugh, Mike Iupati, DJ Humphries was a first-round pick, but boy, do they still need it.
Shows how tough it is to build offensive line because some of those signings looked pretty good, or at least they were worthwhile chances that they took on those guys. Let's go to the NFC South. The New Orleans Saints, pretty nice little roster, and you're going tight end.
Exactly. It's a pretty complete roster at this point. Tight end, though, Benjamin Watson's retiring. And while Drew Brees can make magic with just about anyone at tight end, I could probably catch 50 balls at tight end for the Saints. Maybe that's just pushing it with Drew Brees. But I think if you added a quality threat at tight end, because we saw the offense sort of go in the tank at times this season when you took away Michael Thomas, not a lot of other receiving options. Tight end, Brees loves to throw to him. I think it could have a big impact.
And this feels like a yearly one. The Atlanta Falcons defensive line, they've put a lot of investment at edge defender in recent years with Takk McKinley, with Vic Beasley. Few other guys in and out there, but Grady Jarrett, a free agent, they still have questions on the interior.
Yeah, they know how important that is to that cover 3 defense, getting that defense line. That's why they've kept trying to invest in it. But Grady Jarrett's going to be a free agent. Vic Beasley has fallen off a cliff production-wise, had one of the lowest, top 5 lowest pass rushing productivities of any starting edge defender this season. I don't think you can rely on him going into next year. You need some sort of pass rushing threat if Grady Jarrett does walk.
And then the last 2 are the same. Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Bucks, both in need of a left tackle.
Yeah, Matt Khalil looking to go down as one of the worst free agent signings, maybe of all time at this point. 5 years, $55 million, and he has done nothing there on the left side. Didn't even play this last season with injury. I don't think you can rely on him coming back in 2019. Obvious need there. And then Donovan Smith experiment. Time to let it go in Tampa Bay. He's going to be a free agent. Averaged over 50 pressures per year in his year starting there. You need someone there to project Jameis Winston because Bruce Arians' offense going to have a lot of deep dropbacks.
Yeah, and that's an example of Donovan Smith, a guy that just did not improve at any point in his 4 years during his rookie contract. And then finally, the NFC North, starting with the Chicago Bears, you're going with right tackle.
They might be the most complete roster in the NFL. This one was tough to find, but just because Bobby Massey, the right tackle now, is going to be a free agent is why I say that as a need. But if you look at that roster, there's not one single really other position that you can say, yes, they need that. Yes, we can get a big upgrade if we sign someone there. Right tackle Bobby Massey, if he doesn't re-sign, they'll need to address.
No surprise here. The Minnesota Vikings guard. The entire offensive line hasn't been good, but they have invested at tackle just a little bit. The guards still need an upgrade.
Mike Remmers, Tom Compton, two of the lowest graded guards in the NFL. That's a no-brainer if you watched any game this season, basically.
And it's not easy when you have to face Akeem Hicks here and Mike Daniels and Kenny Clark here and the big guys with the Lions. Exactly. They need some good guards in Minnesota. And then the last two, the Packers and the Lions. You went edge defender for both of these teams.
Yeah, Packers had one of the top 5 most cap spaces allotted to edge defender of any team this past season and still got probably the worst results. If not, the Lions got the worst results of any edge defender team in the NFL. Nick Perry has not played well since they gave him that big contract. Injuries have been a little bit of a factor there, but Clay Matthews also fallen off a cliff. He's a free agent. They're probably gonna move on from him, but they need someone there. And then the Lions, like I mentioned before, Romeo Okwara, just a handful of just not really the guys they cast offs from other teams that were playing edge there after Ziggy Ansah went down, and Ziggy Ansah wasn't worth the cap hit of the franchise tag that they gave him when he was on the field. So both huge needs here.
And both of these teams are loaded with interior defensive linemen. They need those complements coming off the edge. And the edge is a slightly more valuable position as well. So there you have it. It's our NFC most important team needs. There's certainly more for most of these teams. Be sure to check out our AFC video and check out the entire article over at ProFootballFocus.com.